I think we're good to get started. So I think we'll start with Mortgage Minute from Deanne. So Deanne, what's going on in the lending world right now? What can you share?
Hi everyone. Deanne over at Movement Mortgage. This week we're going to expect a lot of volatility. Rates stayed somewhat steady through last week. We're looking at those FHA and jumbo loans in the 5.75 range, and conventional, in that 6.5 range. So this week, a lot of financial news coming out. We have the Feds are meeting on Wednesday. There's jobless claims coming out this week as well. So make sure you're in touch with your mortgage broker all week, and make sure your clients that are on the fence are talking to whoever has pre-approved them, because we don't expect that there will be much change. The Feds expect that we'll have about another 1/4 point increase, but it's already anticipated in the market. If we don't see any increase, then we might see things get a little bit better in the mortgage world. So that's it for today. Feel free to give me a call anytime. I'd love to help you. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you, Deanne.
Thank you.
So today we've got quite the treat. I've got obviously Deanne from Movement Mortgage, and I also have Lori, our marketing and design extraordinaire, who's on the call tonight. And today we're talking about marketing. So I think when people hear the word marketing, I'm sure Lori cringes just a little bit, because there's so much that's involved when you say marketing, that you kind of have to pare it down a little bit in pieces. So I know we've got the marketing plan that was sent out. So I think we'll start with that, Lori, if you can share your screen. And we'll just kind of go through some of the things that we're seeing that are working for a lot of our agents right now that you can try and maybe implement or see some success with. And, we'll end with some Facebook social media stuff. I'm getting a lot of questions from people recently about what they can do online. So we'll end with that. But Lori, if you don't mind, just kind of, she got on the screen. Perfect. So let's kind of walk us through some ideas that you put together in our plan for this last quarter.
Okay, so I don't know if any of you take a peek at this when I send it out. It just goes out quarterly. So a lot of times, there really isn't anything super new about reaching out to your sphere and marketing, but I just like to throw out some ideas that maybe you haven't considered for a while. So look for that every quarter. If you don't see it in your email, you can always look for it in the downloads online on our website. So just talking about marketing, one of the easiest things you can do just to start out with, especially this is the new year, just by working with the CRM that you have. If you're with Best Choice, you have been offered, and hopefully you use the Real Geeks CRM. It's free to you. You can set up email campaigns. It's just a great way to just at least say hello to the sphere that, the leads that you already know. So if you're not using your CRM and you have some questions about how to use it, you can reach out to Brianna or Candace, and they could give you some advice on how to get started and at least point you in the direction if you needed some training. If you want to kind of a more robust type of CRM, we do have Chime, which I know that how many of our brokers are using now, Shannon? Probably
about 10%. Yeah. So about 10% of agents are using Chime.
It has more capabilities. There is a fee for that each month, but if you open this, you can just, if you click on this link here, you can kind of just see the difference between what you get for the CRM that is with Real Geeks and with Chime. So again, it just kind of depends on where you're at, but yeah, just dig in and reach out to your sphere. That's probably the easiest way to start this year. Send a New Year's letter that just kind of tells everybody how your year was. And it's just kind of a way to reach out and just kind of keep that contact with people.
I think too, what we're hearing a lot from people, and we mentioned this earlier before everybody popped on, but we're going back to the basics with a lot of marketing strategies. So if you've been in the industry, for many years or even closer to the 2008 crash and whatnot, we're going back to some of those traditional marketing strategies that have been working. And that's what's working now. So think about, what's working now. Traditional marketing systems, being systematic and consistent, all that stuff are things that you'll see as a trend for this year in terms of marketing strategies that are going to be working for agents. So CRM is a great way to kind of organize all of that. So you at least have a plan and a follow-up. It's kind of one of the things that a lot of agents struggle with is the follow-up. And I'm guilty of it too sometimes, where it's like, you have a client that calls you and it's like, oh, did I set them up for that drip? Did I send them a thank you card? Did I do all those different things that you do with an initial client setup? So think about that.
And you
CRMs
can
are great.
basically set yourself up tasks so it kind of essentially keeps you on track.
Yeah.
You kind of figure out what you want to do and then, go on daily and see what needs to be done. So that's a real easy way to kind of start with marketing for this year. Another big one that people are talking about is obviously the social media. Shannon kind of touched on that. Instagram has kind of become the platform for business. I think that it's kind of a launching pad for a lot of people, for new businesses, existing businesses, a way to kind of get the word out about who you are and what you do. There is a nice little guide, so to speak, that talks about using Instagram Reels, which are slightly longer than the stories. Basically, if you can put some content out there, it's a great way. It's free advertising essentially. Now you do have to take the time to come up with the content, but just starting out, I mean, you can think of it as, you're taking somebody and you're showing a beautiful property, or you can do a virtual tour on one of your listings, or just anything about the real estate market. And it's just a way to kind of generate attention. But I would definitely just take a look at this guide. This is a guy who's been quite successful in kind of just systematically starting doing Instagram Reels to gain followers and to utilize it as free advertising. And he's been pretty successful. So it's a pretty quick read. Obviously, there's lots of information out there online as well. But if you have this, you can just take a look at that. And I know that Shannon has kind of personally done an experiment within the last quarter, I believe.
Yeah. So this last quarter, and you guys are welcome to take a look at, see what I've done too. I think one thing with social media, and I know Candace espouses this as well. When it comes to social media marketing, it's all about leading with personal, and then it's like 20% business, 80% personal. So when you're thinking about content and what you can share, you will always get more interaction when it is more personal. So don't be thinking 100% everything needs to be real estate related. I mean, it could be, you went on a trip, or you went boating, or you were doing mailers. I mean, people have fun with it. It doesn't need to be complicated, but I think lean in with that. Reels, based on my own personal experience, I basically did a 60-day challenge just to see what it would do so that I could speak to this type of marketing strategy. And what I can tell you is that is it directly going to be giving you leads? Potentially. If you're putting in some sponsored ads as part of it and you have a whole strategy about marketing online, then yes, it could potentially generate leads. But what I found for at least my own personal business, which is mainly sphere of influence, referral-based, closed clients, that type of business, is that they're coming to me because they know me. And the more they see me, the more likely they are to contact me, or when they see me, they're like, hey, I saw that you were doing this. It's something that they have in common with me that we can have a conversation about. So I think in a way, treat it no differently than if you were using more traditional marketing 10 years ago, newsletters, things like that. I kind of take that as my approach, where it's like, okay, what can I share with people and what I'm up to? And
yeah, I mean, and it's funny because obviously I've known Shannon for quite a while, but I'm learning new things about her, things that we have in common that I wasn't aware of. So I do think it's about making that personal connection, because if you're looking for a real estate broker, you're going to think of that person that like, trust, that type of relationship. So if you can have a way of getting to know people, your followers, and have them feel a little bit closer to you in that way, I think it's great. So, and again, yeah, I would agree 100% with Shannon about definitely getting your personal life out there. Obviously, it doesn't have to be really personal, but just so people get to know who you are, because I think that's important. If they think that you're a fun, interesting person, I think that can go a long way. So I think that's good. I've enjoyed her little foray.
I aim to please, but yeah, you guys are welcome to check mine out if you want. I've got I'll end with some of my best tips for social media, because I get a lot of questions on stuff like that. But yeah, Reels is certainly on the rise. And if you're posting video content, you will get more views on things like that. So for the analytics out there, video is where it's at. You can't hide from it anymore. That's
Yeah.
kind of a new thing.
So this next one, just this tip is, we put this together, Rochelle, and Shannon and Candace put this together. This is what they're calling the menu for success for real estate. It's just kind of creating, a little daily, weekly, commitment to reaching out in various ways. So the idea behind this is that it's just kind of creating that plan, and you're kind of giving yourself points for all of these tasks that you can do. And like, again, there's nothing super new on here, but you can just kind of go through that. There may be some things that you haven't thought about in a while. It's just kind of a starting point. You know, if you're having a day, it's like, what should I do today? It's just a kind of it's a really simple resource just to open up and think, you know what, I'm going to hand out 10 business cards today, or I am going to call 20 people. It's kind of just a way to kind of keep yourself accountable to doing some of these really, really simple tasks that are going to make a big impact in the long run.
Yeah, I sat in on a class, and I'll kind of share my highlight from it about this business planning stuff that we talked about at several classes that we had with Best Choice agents. And one of the things that one of the instructors talked about is, how is your day? Is it mostly spent being reactive to business, or are you proactively working on your business? Are you getting more clients? Are you prospecting? And people are scared of that word prospecting sometimes, but it doesn't need to be as scary as you think it is. It's more, are you responding to things because they're coming to you in that way, or are you actively seeking it out? And I think this menu for real estate success is for you to make sure that you're not neglecting that prospecting element, because that's when you start having the ebbs and flows in business, the highs and the lows. You're busy, 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 and then you're not busy enough. And then you're busy, 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 and then you're not busy enough. We want to have consistency so that you can expect that type of income and production. But this is kind of helpful. And a typical day, I'll give you an example for this last weekend. I was out doing real estate, even on the weekend, right? So it's like I did I talked to a buyer about a buyer consultation. I did that on the phone. You go on a listing consult. I'm advising on paint colors, where things can move, what things they can do to prep for their house to sell. I showed homes that day. I wrote an offer that day. One of that offers was because I called a past client. All of those different things, those activities can add up, and they are proactive activities that lead to future business. So this is basically a sheet to kind of make sure you can kind of think, am I on pace? Did I do something that was proactive today to get me business tomorrow? Sometimes it's good to have that reminder in front of you of like, okay, let me just kind of choose from my menu. What can I do today to get me business?
Yeah. And again, this you can also download from the website in the download section. So you can find that. So again, kind of leading back, it's kind of, we have a theme here. It's that getting personal with your followers and your sphere. Just a great idea if you are active on Facebook, instead of taking communication a step further, instead of just commenting back or liking someone's post, take the opportunity to send them a personal message. I think people are much more likely to respond to that than they are to maybe respond on a post. And again, it's just a way for you to get in front of them on a more personal level than just reacting to a post that everybody else is talking about as well. So yeah, so if you're not comfortable on Instagram and Facebook is your thing, there's a lot of things you can do on that. So yeah, Candace is probably a great person to talk about Facebook. If you have any questions, I know that she uses that. It's a huge part of her business and her marketing.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's an easy one.
Yeah, and I'll speak to it a little bit. So with my whole social media challenge that I did too, that I can share with you guys, is that it's so easy to get in that. And I'm, when you're on social media and you scroll through and you're like, okay, it's like, is that actually engaging behavior from consumers? Are they actually going to learn more about you or have that connection with you? So it's easy just to like a post. It's easy just to like a story or something that you're seeing on Facebook, but taking the extra step to write a sentence or ask them a question or something like that, it helps with the algorithm. So they'll show up more and you'll show up more for stuff that you post as well. But then also it's again, forming that connection with that bond with that person. So I posted one, a comment or something like that, a post, and someone had commented on it, and I'll even read it to you, said, "Oh my goodness, I was just glancing at the cover and I thought the person looked really familiar. I didn't notice it was you. I just realized this." And I was like, "Oh, that's funny." I sent them a magazine, and I had mailed it to them, and they didn't realize that they had been on that magazine for 3 months, and they didn't put 2 and 2 until I started commenting on their post. And so it's like, "Oh, that's funny. I'm so glad my Christmas card made it to you," and you're actually forming that connection with someone. This is a person I hadn't talked to in almost 2 years. So it's again, forming that connection with that person. She's probably likely to sell in the next year or two. And so I'm investing that time early. Well, it's fun to connect with friends of ours, but it's also good to form that connection so that when they think real estate, they think of me, they think of you.
Well, and whether or not they're, they may have a friend that they're talking to and they think of Shannon, that type of thing. So yeah, it is just kind of taking a step further and just talking to people a little more often, a little more face to face. So that's a good one. And the last one that is kind of a relatively new thing, newer, but I think it's getting easier for people to create, is using single property websites for marketing a listing. Obviously, it's not necessarily applicable to all listings, but if you have a really high-end luxury listing or a property with that's out in the country and lots of outbuildings and basically different unique things about the property, it allows you to get more information about that listing, doing video and more pictures and more information. There's lots of different companies that you can use to build these websites. This one that I just gave to you is rated really highly. It's called Rella. They do have a free trial. But it's basically just a platform for building this. And when you build these, it's not just that you're getting information out, you can use them as lead generation as well. They have this particular company has a marketing center, so you can build your own flyers. They do have lead generation. They've integrated with Facebook, so you can do paid advertising if you want to. So it's just kind of an interesting way to think about marketing a property in a different way. One of our brokers, his name is Scott Connell, he reached out to me and we were just talking about different things he could do because he has a property in Suncadia, and he actually, he took the time and he said he built this website in 30 minutes. And he was just able to get a lot more. You can see all the different, a lot more pictures, a lot more information, and he can still add to this when he wants. But it's just a way, and obviously there's some lead gen down here. People can reach out if they have more questions. So anyway, it's just something to consider. Just another way to, market a listing besides just, putting it on the MLS.
Yeah. And I would say too, when you have a listing, I mean, those are one of the greatest ways to pick up buyers as well. Especially if you're into that whole SEO and posting and getting Facebook leads and things like that. Listings are a great thing to post like that. If you're using Chime, or if you're thought about using Chime, single property websites is a part of that system. It's all integrated. So that's a huge benefit for those that are using that program. But yeah, Rella is a great resource. So you just need a one-off. You're like, I need to be able to post and boost something on Facebook, or share this with people, or provide these types of analytics to a builder. In this case, it was a builder. What can I provide to those clients? That single property websites are great because that doesn't get the buyer confused. They're not going from the single property website to, a Redfin or John L. Scott or another website. They're staying there. And they only have your information available, which is great.
Yeah. So that's basically what we kind of put out for the quarterly marketing plan this time. But like I said, if you haven't looked at all of them, we do keep the past issues on the website and the download, so you can just kind of take a look at them and pick and choose. Maybe you'll find something new in there that you haven't tried or haven't done in a while.
Yep. And I've got a couple things I think I'll just share with you guys too, while I've got it, about the Facebook and social media. If you're guys wanting more information on that, because I think it's it was quite interesting for me to do it personally. So let me share that with you guys so you can see it. So these were kind of my big key takeaways. If I can get to it here. So one of the big things with Facebook and Instagram, so do yourself a favor, have a bio. It doesn't need to be long. For me, you can look me up as an example. It's just my first and last name. So it's just like who I am in like 2 or 3 sentences, where I went to school or where I'm licensed. Have your website linked to it. So if you've got a Best Choice Realty website that we created for you, if you got your own website that you've created, have it linked on there. If you have more links, use a link tree. That's what a lot of people will use on Instagram for that. If you're working on Instagram, save every single story you're doing, save it onto a highlight so people can access it later. And one of the key things, if you're using Instagram specifically for marketing, is convert that personal account that you have into a professional account. It's not hard to do. It takes probably like 5-10 minutes to do it. I wish I had some visuals to show you guys, but Instagram is very mobile friendly. But if you want to call me, I can walk you through it later. But one of the reasons that you do that is that you can get the analytics associated with the Instagram. So you can actually see, who's looking at your posts, how many people have viewed it, who is viewing it, where they're viewing it, all those different types of things that are helpful as you're creating content. And the other thing that's helpful too with Instagram, and a lot of people who are not used to the whole Instagram, I would say the millennial generation and younger are on Instagram more than they're on Facebook. So if that's your target demographic, that's who you can choose to use. But if you're maybe millennial or older, in that case, what I would recommend is just make sure that you've got your Facebook and your Instagram linked. So that way, if you're more comfortable on Facebook, it just posts on Instagram and then it goes to Facebook. So that way it's in both places and you don't have to think about it that way. It makes it easy. Even for me, I didn't really like social media before I did the challenge, but actually it is quite impactful in that way. So the formula, a lot of people have different videos about social media. So what I can tell you is that the formula changes. So you can't really keep up with it all the way, but this is what is currently working right now. So if you're wanting to do Instagram and Facebook marketing, this is kind of where you can start. And it doesn't matter when you start, just better to start today. Why not? Post 3 or 4 stories or more a day. That will start to generate, it'll start small. You'll start seeing your viewership be like 20 people a day, 30 people a day. It'll start to rise every day that you post consistently. The content, I think like we talked about earlier, it's 80% personal. I mean, share what you're eating, what you're doing, where you're going. I mean, it doesn't need to be fancy, or anything like that. And then 20% real estate. So that could be, hey, this is a new listing. This is a home tour. Maybe I'm doing an open house, something that's real estate, item of value that they would find interesting. Face, people want to see your face. So I know it's scary. One of the things that I found is my first 30 days, I was very like behind the camera. And then the last 30 days, I was more in front of the camera. And what you find is that ones where my face is on video, people actually comment and like more on those types of content. So take that into consideration when you're posting things, tag other businesses. They will help you and love you too. Be real. And I think responding, we talked about being personal, but responding to every single comment. Don't just like it, actually formulate a comment or response to generate more interaction with that person moving forward. Because then they're your advocate. As you continue posting, they'll actually continue to like and comment and do all sorts of things for you.
Well, I mean, it does. It makes, honestly, it's like you're making somebody feel special, like you're paying attention. Yeah. And I think that's really important, especially in this business. They want to know that you care. So I think that's
sure
important.
And so in terms of what I've personally have done, and I can attest to, the daily does help you show up more on algorithms. So whenever you post, it kind of goes hand in hand. Posting weekly is ideal. We talked about reels. Those are kind of some of the things that are really big right now, especially for people that are wanting to get a hold of more people other than who is already in your sphere. But it's just start with something, right? So it can be something personal or a place that you've been, or, an organization that you recently joined, or if you got your kids in swim. I know for me right now, I'm getting my son into swim lessons, and that was a whole ordeal. So I know that that's one of the things that I've got posted or scheduled to be posted this next week, is talking about that. It doesn't need to be real estate, but it's about you. They're going to want to work with you because they know you and trust you already. So let's build that rapport online anyway. So in terms of reels, I would say Jeffrey Sable. So that one that was on there is a great resource. Follow him on Facebook or Instagram. He's a good example of someone who has taken a social media from absolutely nothing and built, I think he's almost got, 30,000 followers and thousands of people on Facebook. I mean, it's huge. So he's someone to follow. And he came out of nowhere, I think in 2021 too, down in California. So take a look at that one for sure. I always think I'm like, okay, look at other people. What are other people doing? The likelihood of them having stuff that's in your sphere is very, very not likely, right? Especially if they're in other areas or other cities. You're not going to have that much overlap. So take what they're doing and say, okay, how can I make that work for me? And, make it your own in that way. Reels are great for educational stuff, so that you can boost them and put some advertising around those later. One of our agents, Masla Abdi, I'll give him a shout out. He's doing a really good job with his reels right now and sharing those and getting those out to people in his community. And it's simple. It's like, what can I do? Why is layout so important? He shows a little video around it, so it can be fun. And it's already integrated with some of the other real estate activities that he does. So anyway, those are some of the things that you can think about. You can kind of chew on if you're wanting to do social media advertising. That's kind of some of the stuff you can do. One of the things I would challenge you to do, if that's something you're interested in, is do what I did, which was the 30 to 60 day challenge, where I was not a big share on social media. I was very private, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to go out of my comfort zone and I'm going to do this. And I think it's proven, the proof is in the pudding. And there's been more business, I think, in January than I think I've ever had in a January before because of that. And so take the challenge yourself, choose to be a content creator instead of a content consumer. And so that way you can actually share more and have people come to you. It's kind of like Candace's philosophy, where you can only give, or you can only help as many people as long as your cup is full yourself. So I think we had a couple comments. I think Deanne, I wanted to discuss old school marketing. I know a lot of people are talking about Chat GPT right now. It's kind of big in the industry. We shall see. I think don't get distracted by the shiny penny right now. They're still working out some stuff with Chat GPT. It is on our radar. But we'll see. I think we're back to the basics for a lot of things though, especially with sellers. They're going to know, they're going to work with who they know. So the technology is only as good as the person who's going to use it. Let's see. And then Jeffrey, and then Deanne was asking for Jeff's last, Sable, Sabel is his last name. He's a great person to follow on Instagram. So anyway, I hope this was helpful for you guys. I know we're ending right at the hour. It's all about tips, tricks, things like that. If you're wanting extra help, or you're wanting a one-on-one, or I actually have a list of different things that one of a good friend of mine actually provided to me for content. And you're like, gosh, what can I post on this day? Or what can I share? I need some ideas. I do have some takeaways. If you want to message me after this, I'm happy to share that with you. And that way you can kind of take video by a storm. Why not? I think there's a lot of agents that are not doing this type of marketing right now, traditional and online generation in that way. So take it by a storm. I think it will work, and you'll see the results just like I have. So is there anything else I missed, Lori, that we need to talk about?
No, I think just the one thing that, just to leave everybody with, is just pick something that you like, pick something that you will consistently do. And even if it is just one thing, commit to that and, see it through. Yeah, because I think it's consistency. It's reaching out, and it's consistency, no matter which way you do it. I mean, obviously you can do it all, and that's fantastic. And if you do that one really well, but just keep doing it. Yeah. It's simple stuff. I know Candace and I were talking the other day about just going back to doing thank you cards and birthday cards. It's such a simple thing. And I took her advice, over the weekend, and I was like, I wrote a thank you or a birthday card as someone I knew. And it's like instantly they sent me a text. They're like, you're the only person that sent me a birthday card. And I was like, oh, but that generated a connection with that person. And that's a connection I otherwise would not have had. So I agree with Lori. Let's just pick one. It doesn't need, you don't need all the bells and whistles. Just pick something and start doing it. Just start doing it, and you'll see some results there. And then we can build on that from there. So
Thanks so much for joining us for tonight. Again, if you want some of those goodies, just email me afterwards. I'm happy to forward those over to you. I know that attachment for Jeffrey Sable I found super helpful as well. So I can send that to you if you're wanting that as well. Thanks so much, you guys. We'll see you next Monday.